welcome to another episode of the SNEV podcast. Today we have as a guest Cristóbal Cerda. Now, he is a member of the SNEV ECM, and we brought him on here to talk about ISEV 2025 because he was on the IOC, that's the International Organising Committee for ISEV 2025. So he's going to be talking to us about what it was like at ISEV and perhaps most importantly, what it was like to be involved in organising it. So before we get into that, Cristóbal, would you like to tell us a little bit about what EV research you've been doing?
Yeah, sure. So thank you to invite me to talk about this experience being a IOC at ISEV 2025. So I'm Cristóbal Cerda-Troncoso. I'm Chilean. I'm working in Belgium, particularly with Pascal Zimmerman at KU Leuven. So I'm doing my postdoc here, almost like 2 years or a little bit more. And my focus of study is try to understand what is the secretory autophagy and looking the mechanisms and coordinate that pathway with the degradative autophagy. So that is overall, and we are focused particularly on synthenin, that was the protein discovered by Pascal and 25 years ago. So yeah, that is what I'm doing. And also as ECM, I am the event manager of SNEV.
And what's it like being the event manager?
It's quite interesting. Had a lot of challenges, and also I think the event managing is quite hard because we need to send a lot of email, looking for the researchers that can give us a talk, looking for interesting talks, the names, etc. Now I'm trying to coordinate what is this particular topic that we want to cover, the series that we are doing, trying to invite also, try to do some postdoc talks. And the most interesting is try to fix all the time around the world when we are inviting people. So yeah, that sometimes is crazy. Also when the time changes in some countries, that is a little of a stress, but at the end it's interesting. And the more good thing is when we are doing these talks and we saw a lot of people involved there, like in the last one talk was like 100 people attending of our city, our talk. And
so you were originally based in Chile. Can you tell us a little bit about what the EV community is like there?
Yeah, it's not many people working on EVs. I saw that is like 5, no more than 8 groups working on EVs. So are small and all are based on the capital, so in Santiago. So as Chile is at the end of the world, we have some issues with the delivery, for example, of the staff to work on science, basically. So sometimes that is complicated when we are planning experiments, so that take more time to do some stuff. For sure, we don't have the best technology to prepare EVs. We use classical stuff like the IOC or sometimes concentrated conditionated medium. But as Chilean, I mean, it's overall in Chile, but working in science, we try to do the best with the minimal resource that we have. And sometimes we publish some quite good research, and sometimes we are really recognized based on the knowledge that we are producing with the minimal resource that we have. And also, the most important thing that we try to do is always try to collaborate almost as possible, because otherwise could be so complicated to have a good research based on EVs. And for sure, it's really known that EV research is quite expensive, right? So, and the fundings for research in Chile are not too high. So yeah, we try to optimize almost as possible, but we produce good science. And what the people working on EVs is not too connected there, but I think the platforms like SNEV will help to do that. And also in South America, it's not being connected, the research. I mean, the researchers working on EVs is trying to do a Latin American extracerebral vesicle group, but at the end, it's not working so good. So maybe through our experience, we can help on connect that. Yeah. Yeah, because I think that one is based on it's in the capital, but the capital is too big. Okay, so it's not easy to go there and make some stuff. So yeah, it's interesting why we are not connected there. Is I don't know, really I don't know. But yeah, I think it's necessary. I mean, Chile needs that kind of thing, and all the rest of South America, because otherwise it's not easy. In my case, in my PhD that I work on EVs a little bit, I had the opportunity to work with Matías Ostrowski from Argentina, because he was friend of my ex-boss. So they know each other, and how my PhD was based on EVs particularly. She invited him to be part of my reviewers, and also helped me with some resources and knowledge, etc. to do that. So yeah, but was so particular because was friend of my ex-boss. So so yeah, I know that. For example, Argentina is trying to have their own group on EVs, because I think it's the country that works on EV for Matías Ostrowski, basically. So they have more groups on that, and also Brazil. But yeah, we need to try to connect more South America to improve our research and to help us in that in the problem that we have, the delivery, etc. That takes some time, a lot of time.
So, yeah, we brought you on here to talk about ISEV 2025. So, how about we just get into a little bit of what it was like to be there more generally for the people who weren't able to attend. So, yeah, maybe do you just want to start with how was Vienna?
Yeah. Vienna is a quite interesting city. Quite relaxed compared to German ones. And... yeah, with a lot of history about music, for sure, and some a lot related. For example, I didn't know that Sigmund Freud was working there at some point.
Yeah, a lot of intellectual heavyweights from Vienna.
Yeah. So a lot. Can I say not academy, but. People that want to work in not just working, I mean in regular works like office things, but more like human science, arts, etc. And our that is the scientific ones. So yeah, that part was interesting. Also know that the Danubio, that was a river that crossed a lot of countries in Europe, was there. And yeah, what's quite nice city. And also about this ISEV meeting is the annual meeting of the International Society for Extracerebral Vesicles. That happens one time per year for sure in different continents, and on this year was in Europe. For sure, the almost people that went to that meeting was from Europe for sure, but also involved other countries like US and South America for sure, and Australia or Asian Pacific countries. It's a big meeting. I don't know another big meeting like that or another big society like that.
Do you know how many people went this year?
Was 1,800 people registered. So yeah, it's a big conference. Many people, and sometimes you didn't saw the people that you know because it's many around there. I saw my boss was there, and also a colleague from my lab that is in Marseille also went there. I saw one time in the meeting. So yeah, is at that level of big meeting is. So yeah, and that meeting involved the international society tried to cover all of the science that is behind of extracellular vesicle, the fundamental, the applying, the physiological, the tissue, etc., etc. And is quite interesting for all the people that want to go there to know the current knowledge on this topic. And also, that is something that I didn't saw in other type of conference, is this educational day that is performed at all ISEV annual meeting. So this education day is the basic knowledge to work on extracellular vesicles that cover all kind of a step to working on that, and is focused for the ECR, the early career researcher that is starting to work there. But for me, it's also interesting to know all of updates on. It's also interesting for the people that are already working on EVs, but want to have an update of the knowledge, like a review, the last review on extracellular vesicle. It's basically the education day is the review of the EVs on the last year. So yeah, it's good to think on that way. So yeah, that day is quite interesting.
Yeah, I've always found it really interesting when you meet people at ISEV who aren't really familiar with EVs, and they're there for one reason or another, and they're just getting a crash course.
Yeah.
Did you present anything there?
I participate in many ways. Okay, just like IOC, that we can talk later, but also I present my poster of my research. There is more basic, based on fundamental knowledge. Was interesting opportunity to share that, because when I'm doing this research, it's going to be more and more complicated. With each results appear another question and it's never to end. But at some point, I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And the most interesting thing that how my topic is relative new in the EB field, the secretory autophagy. Many people went to my poster to ask me how I study the secretory autophagy, and that was quite interesting thing to be there, looking for or sharing my research. I didn't want to apply for oral communication because for me, I need to finish more that topic, and now is just for poster.
Sometimes you notice sort of a trend, across ISEVs. That there'll be a particular new topic that you see a few talks on or everyone's talking about. Did you pick up on anything like that this time?
I try to follow the more fundamental, but because I'm more interested in that, So yeah, now for example, in the fundamentals are looking more for the new kind of extracellular vesicles that are starting to appear. Also, the mix with the physical biology behind the ELB production or exosome production, and also I think one of the more interesting is a lot immunology behind of EVs. That is like a trend now. A lot of immunology. For sure, the gene therapy kind of thing behind of EVs. And the more interesting was how grow the EV on plants team. Because I remembered when I went to ISEV 2022, I saw few posters on EV on plants, but now was like a huge group proposing that. Yeah.
That's interesting, yeah. And were there any, particular, findings or any presentations that really shocked you or, were...
Yeah. Was the one that I love it was how the liquid phase separation structure can induce the ELB production for exosome secretion. That for me was quite crazy because I didn't expect that this kind of protein structure can induce per se physically the inward binding of the endosomes for the ELB production. That was for me like shock. For sure, some talks about EV production from milk, the amount of milk that you need to produce EVs from there. And others for sure the keynote speaker ones, the Harold Stenmark, that is a guy that know basically all scores and all score that's possible and how that can work on ELB biogenesis. So yeah, that's kind of.
So let's move on to talk about your work with the IOC. So firstly, how did you come to be involved with that?
Yeah, I started to be involved on August of 2024. So basically, ISEV want to have one of SNEV member being a IOC, because they want that we can be officially organizing activities there. So I proposed I want to interesting to be on IOC because before, in my bachelor, I was president of a student organization. I organized some conference there. So it was like going back to that experience, but now in a big deal. So yeah, I proposed it, and then for sure they was looking for people based on Europe because for the traveling and the time zone. So basically, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think having had that experience before with that conference really helped you with this one?
Yeah, sure. Because at that time I was the chair of the organization in my bachelor. But for example, the planning of the day or how mix the best position for some activities, how it helps, and etc. And making reports at some stage and looking for potential speaker for our activities. That was my previous experience. Helped me on that.
And so, what was being on the committee like? How regularly were you all meeting, and was there sort of a decision-making process?
Usually it was was a hard work because was each 2 weeks per month. I mean, 2 times per month basically, and was meeting of 1 hour or 1 hour and a half. So yeah, that was the regular meetings of IOC. But also I was member of the education day team, that we organized activities for that. So that was another extra meeting sometime per month or 1 or 2 per month. So yeah, involved like, overall, in average was like 3 to 4 meetings per month.
So there's an education day team, and are there other sort of sub-teams?
My work there was, as IOC, was organizing the SNEV activities. That was my own work, and also just the education day stuff.
But I guess like in terms of the general structure of the IOC and how it's organized, just to give us an idea, are there other groupings of people in the? Yeah,
was okay. So was based on of the shares that they had the most work to do. Also the organization from Vienna, because the shares wasn't based on Vienna, so people working on Vienna was another team that they are looking for the places and how can I explain basic works. I mean, how to organize the place and to buy stuff, etc. So that was another team. Team based on the keynote, the selection of the speakers, and how organize the schedule of the days, and also people from ISEV supervising for sure the organization. Kent sometime went to there, or Andreas, to organize it, to be there on the meeting and try to help us on the organization.
And what about those SNEV specific events?
Yeah, sure. So as a SNEV, it's always important to try to connect the people. So we try to have a networking event on several days, but we focus just on Education Day for basically two reasons. First, because many people or ECR or PhD or postdoc are going to ISEV for first time, or they are going alone. So or the PI is going but is doing PI stuff. So the idea was try to do a networking event on Educational Day to try to promote the networking of people that know each other working in the same field on EVs. That was the hope of that activity. And the other reason was because we had the time to have a relaxed networking event on Educational Day. That was on the lunch time. So overall, that activity was called EV Chat at Lunch. So what we did there, we organized tables with an EV topic, for example, EV biogenesis. So the people that work in EV biogenesis went to there to lunch and know the other people working on that. So on that time, they are starting to don't be alone and working on maybe connecting people for future collaboration. So we did 12 different topics, and the activity was quite okay. I saw many people talking and not talking about just science, just knowing each other and be part of that really helps a lot. Because I remember when I went because on that time, on 2022, when I went there, that kind of activity didn't happen. So because that was like the second year of SNEV, and that wasn't too related to ISEV, so didn't happen on that time. But now, if I compare that meeting with the 2025, that kind of activity helps a lot to know people, basically. So the other ones was based on the classical of SNEV activities, meet experts. So we organize this activity for the experts that present of keynote speakers, speakers from Education Day, or the speakers from some symposium of ISEV to be there. And the idea that was the students went to with the speaker and talk each other for whatever they want, basically. So we did two kind of meet experts. One was based on expert working on fundamental and physiology, and the other in application, medical stuff, etc. So that was the other. And also we did two satellite events. One was based on academia insertion on EVs. So we invited 3 young PIs, where they share their experience to be PI, early PI for now. So that was interesting. And the other was the EVs on industry based. So we invited researchers that work in the middle between companies and industry, or they are creating companies, or they are supervising companies based on EVs. So that was.
So how did you identify these people for your events? These people who were both in industry and the EV field.
Yeah. So I was doing a research about the speakers that that they are planning to go to ISEV. So I look for the career first, for this first satellite event, for the academic insertion. So I look for the position, how many years they are doing, working as a associated professor, etc. And what about the EV track on that? The EV research about that researchers. So, and someone I already know. For example, Kerstin. That one was one of the speakers. She was a postdoc on my lab. Frederick from Utrecht University. We invited before for a talk at SNEV, and also Navid was really known for. We invited him for our big conference. So, yeah, we already know that people, and we invited. And also I invited others. I invited like 4 or 5, but they couldn't go to our satellite event, or they didn't go to ISEV basically. But they are so happy to participate on our activities. And for the industry ones, yeah, I did my research if some of the speakers are related to companies basically. And yeah, I'm surprised that a lot of them are related. For sure, I invited more than these 3, and also they couldn't go for timing, etc. But yeah, was my own research behind that, and how they fix better on the academia insertion, and also academic insertion, and also industry. For both, also I tried to look for different countries because each country has their own experience to be PI, for example, or different country has different rules or mechanisms to implement a company based on EVs, etc. So the idea was to share almost different experience as possible. Yeah. They are based on biomarker discover, or based on the transference of the basic knowledge to apply that on on therapy, for example. And yeah, that was the kind of was therapy or biomarkers that are the most important ones on industry on EVs. And they also share how is start with a startup, and then also share how is the way to do that. I mean, if you are a researcher, how is the way to found or to have a startup on EVs, and the best way to do it. Yeah.
So of course you weren't the only SNEV ECM member that was in attendance. Do you want to tell us who else was there, and maybe what it was like to finally have all these SNEV ECM committee members all together face to face, and what was their involvement in the events?
Yeah, that's right. I wasn't the only one SNEV ECM there. Also went the VIP ECM of SNEV, the president Carlos, the vice president Maimona, and the past president Sarah. So yeah, I know that guy that I worked like 3 years ago, and was my first time looking the faces of these guys and touching, because before was just like looking like an avatar, but now was real people. Also, other ECM member was Elena from Portugal, Barbara from my team, also from Portugal, and Richa from Australia. So we were a lot SNEV ECM there. Was so funny the days, and also chatting during the days, and have funny times. So they also helps for sure in the SNEV activities. Each one was co-moderator of the SNEV activities at ISEV. Sarah, for example, was invited for the hand-on activity on Education Day. And yeah, the other was co-moderator of the SNEV activity, but also some of SNEV ECM participates like a co-chair of the parallel session. So was a real, I think this year was a real involvement of SNEV ECM at ISEV 2025, in the first ISEV meeting. So yeah. Also for sure we went for dinners, we went to play because close to the meeting conference place was a park with very very funny games, and we went for dinner there for first time, chatting, having a good time, not just talking in virtual meeting, talking about our network or about job, but now was more like real life. So yeah, and also they helped a lot to me in the activities. But as well, I mean, all SNEV ECM member was involved at the end at ISEV 2025, helping with the poster design, with the promotion of the activities, and etc. So really, really helps. And yeah, was funny. And I hope that in the future we can see each other again. No, in 3 years more or something like that. But yeah, and also I think from there I have it a good friends after that meeting.
And did you catch the announcement of the SNEV Interconnect program as well?
Yeah, but was in parallel of our satellite event. So was so sad to be there, to don't be there. But our president and vice president went to this satellite event, Carlos and Maimona. So
for those who don't know, that was on the back of the ISEV 2025 Global Society Networking event. And this is a program that we've just launched where we're looking to find ambassadors in each of the national societies.
Yeah, but they are so interested. Some societies are so interested on help us on promoting our activities and try to have this interconnected program. I think it's quite nice because, for example, I don't know, in Europe, the societies sometimes were so alone. I think the same in Asia Pacific. And for sure, from I'm coming in South America, also they have their own little groups that work on EVs, but this group can grow based on the interconnection with the other societies, or other researchers on the country, on the continent. So yeah.
Yeah, I think any opportunity to sort of further collaborations and further the spread of ideas is really good. Inter-society connections is a good way forward for the field.
Yeah, sure.
So what was your experience like doing this organizing of the SNEV events in particular? Was it a bit of a drainer, or was it just exciting the whole way through?
Yeah, I was exciting because the satellite event was something that I planned based on my interest as well, because also based on the SNEV interest. So yeah, was a challenge, try to find the speakers for the mix expert or for satellite events. Was a lot training to base it on sending emails, because also I coordinated sending the email on the time that the speaker or the invited can be read it. For example, I can set, at this time today, but it's going to be too late for the speaker. Something like that. And also try to explain to the IOC, etc. And also as in the education day, I try to invite some ECR or postdoc that can be present there. That also something that comes from SNEV, because maybe we can talk that later. But and the most challenge was sending the mails and try to coordinate the time, etc. And also the other step was being there, organizing and looking the spaces and try that everything is going well. My experience. That was when what was running was okay. That's good, and also the feedback from the invited people for sure for the satellite event. That was the most interesting stuff that I learned there. For example, when in the academia insertion, the speaker told me that was a good activity when they was PI or sorry, a postdoc or PhD student. Try to have that kind of activities when they was PhD or postdoc, when they are lost on the career and try or learning that it's a complicated way, that the fail is common, etc. So they say that was interesting activity and could be great to have it before, you know. And also they told me that if we can help to one ECR, that is okay for us. I mean, if they try to help with their own experience on the career of other postdoc, that could be nice. And also for the part of the industry, share that you not to be lost and that the industry is a real career track, because I mean maybe at some stage or some countries working on industry on science is not being is not looking so good, but how they explain the role of the industry is really nice. At the end, in the industry, you need to you not to be, I mean, you need to share your basic knowledge to the society in somehow, and the industry is the way to do that, because otherwise the knowledge stays just in the papers and nothing happening with that. So the industry can take that knowledge and apply and retribute the society somehow that knowledge. And also the speaker, when I saw the speaker, very interesting, talking with the postdoc or the PhD student was so nice. Sometimes was one-to-one talk, but was like an hour. So for me, that's is okay. I mean, I'm very happy with that. And for sure, when I saw the tables at the lunch of the education day, how the people was sharing, talking about their research, etc., was quite nice. So was like okay, I'm done with that activities, and I'm so happy.
So what would you say to someone who is thinking about being involved in ISEV 2026 or, you know, some other conference?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's time for sure. You need to be clear. You need to be so clear with your organization. But it's so, it's so grateful experience. For me, it was so grateful that the postdoc, all people involved in the activities enjoy the activities basically. For me, that is the most grateful thing. And also give you experience. Also, maybe you are too young. For example, in my case, I'm postdoc from 3 years or 4 years, or so you are really start to know the people behind of the science of ISEV or EVs. So you are really starting to connecting with others, and maybe it's for future collaboration for the job. Who knows? And you start to be in the vision or in the eyes of the people that working on EVs. So that is grateful, and also the people trying to connect with you to help to SNEV. That was the case of one of the startup of on EVs. That at the end of the day going to me to say, oh, I would like to participate on the SNEV activities for next year, maybe talks, etc. So they saw us like a good platform to share the SNEV, the EV research. That is not just research, it's career development, etc.
Yeah, it's a good mix of, selfless reasons. It's maybe a bit enjoyable, creating something. But yeah, there's some very pragmatic reasons why it's good to be involved in these conferences, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share about your experience?
Yeah, sure. I organized the SNEV activities, but also I participate in other stuff at ISEV 2025 because I was IOC for sure. So I was co-chair of one of the parallel sessions. I was co-chair with Guillaume Vanil. So was quite nice experience, be co-chair. And I remember that in ISEV 2022 I went to present on that parallel session, and now I was co-chair. So was looking me like how I'm growth from 2-3 years ago, and now I was co-chair. Yeah, and also I was co-chair of some activities of Education Day, and also I was panelist on Education Day activity, and that activity was something that I promote there. That the idea was that the ECR, PhD or postdoc, being panelist and sharing their own experience working on extracellular vesicles, like the hand-on people that really working on EVs. So yeah, I was panelist in the morning session that was based on fundamental knowledge and EV characterization and analysis. So that was quite nice activities, and the people really enjoyed. I saw that. And the people that is starting to work on EVs ask to us what the best way to do something, etc. So yeah, I was there, and also I invite another SNEV people or past SNEV people that are postdoc now and sharing their own experience working on EVs. So yeah, that was an extra work, but was quite nice. And as well, I organized some. I was organizing some. I proposed some speakers for the education days. The name of topics. What others? I prepared the slices for the presentations, etc. So yeah.
So you said you proposed a few ideas there and they were taken up. How much room is there to, make propositions and suggestions, and what's the decision-making process?
Yeah, with the Education Day, because was more close team, was very open to have that ideas. At some points, yeah, some people was not so flexible to have young researchers on the panelists, etc. But after the activity, they say that was really nice activity, that really that we can repeat all the time, because that is quite nice. So yeah, and also for the IOC, for the activity, they was quite happy with our propositions. So yeah, we always try to be on the same line that the IOC want, etc. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really all the questions I've got for you. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us today and share your experience. It was really interesting. I'm sure
Thanks.
a few people will find some very interesting points in there. Thank you.
Welcome.